It just seems that a group of activists have latched on to transgender issues as some sort of shield for their own misogyny and their own violence, their own violence, as far as I can see.
One of the accusations that is made against the trans lobby, and indeed is being highlighted by J.K. Rowling here, is perhaps some of the methods that they use in putting forward their arguments. That the idea that they can't have a debate without either cancelling somebody or threatening to rape or murder them, or indeed put a pipe bomb through the letterbox, surely undermines the argument, doesn't it, rather than furthers the cause?
It doesn't help transgender people whatsoever, doesn't it? I don't know where these people have come from or what their motives are, but as far as transgender people were concerned, we were living quite happily. We're readily accepted in society. Not, the situations which are talked about are not realistic, but it just seems that a group of activists have latched on to transgender issues as some sort of shield for their own misogyny and their own violence, their own violence, as far as I can see.
What do you think about the idea that women, biological women, should have a right to say, actually, I don't want trans men in my bathroom? You know, what do you think about, where do we draw the line between saying somebody has a right to, you know, demand something and then not being offensive or not being discriminatory? Because I think often that's where the arguments and the tension is. On one hand, there are people saying, actually, these are biological women's rights. And on the other hand, they're saying, well, by you telling me that, you're sort of denying the fact that I have a right to also identify as a woman.
Well, I think you've summed things up there. Twice you mentioned the word biological woman, and we need to just take a step back on there, where women feel obliged to use that terminology. Because let's be clear about this: there are women, and women are female human beings. The moment that anybody starts defining a woman in that way, yes, there's more outrage. Women need to be able to feel confident to defend their own spaces and their own boundaries, and that is important for women. And as somebody who is not a woman, I'm the opposite sex, I understand that. Now, there may be situations where women choose to include me, where they may not include other males. They may choose to do that, but would never be my demand. And this is where these activists go wrong, that by using transgender people such as myself, they're basically telling women and instructing women on who they should and should not allow into their spaces, into their associations, and into their groups. It's deeply damaging for everybody, is this?
I just wonder whether you are representative of most transgender people in your views, or if you are speaking out in a minority, if you yourself have been a victim of some of the abuse that J.K. Rowling has described.
Yeah, I would say that I represent only myself. I'm a human being. I've transitioned. I've got some ideas about what it means to be trans, and I'm willing to progress. I'm willing to advance the argument. I'm not willing to follow other people if I don't think that their arguments hold any water. I say what I think. But yes, I have come under all sorts of attacks for saying what I think. I've not received any death threats as such, but my employer's contacted, my professional association is contacted. People have decided that if I won't bow to the demands of activists, then perhaps other people may cancel me. I may suffer all the same. But this is too important to give way on. This matters, does this? And if people back down under pressure, and I understand why people do, but if everybody backs down under pressure, then the bullies win. And that's why it's so important that J.K. Rowling keeps speaking and keeps opening her mouth. She gives everybody else who's speaking out confidence that we're not alone. J.K. Rowling is speaking out still, and it's a great, it gives us all reassurance and just makes us feel a little less vulnerable.
And Debbie, J.K. Rowling spoke up in defence of Maya Forstater, didn't she? She was the tax expert who lost her job for questioning if trans people were in fact women. And she actually was successful in the courts. She won her case, which was a long protracted thing. But J.K. Rowling tweeting today saying, to be fair, when you can't get a woman sacked, arrested or dropped by her publisher, and cancelling her only made her book sales go up, there's really only one place to go. So I just wonder if you think the court of public opinion, but also the actual justice system is beginning to set out its the parameters on this debate.
Well, you look at that. You look at that tweet, and you think, what other situation would that even be allowed? Even stay up on Twitter? It just seems to me to be to sum up the problems we've come into. J.K. Rowling is right. This is where it ends up. But people have to say no. People have to stand up against it, and people need to say this is not acceptable, and will not put up with it.